Hi, everyone. I hope y'all are well. And again, I want to encourage my fellow brothers and sisters in Christ, especially those who are experiencing panic attacks at this time. If you've experienced at least one panic attack, I know many of you have experienced many. I don't need to tell you how painful and dreadful they are. I don't know any other way that I could be humbled as fast as experiencing a panic attack. When I went through them like 6 years ago, they would come, and when they come, I felt like I couldn't do anything about it. I felt like my heart was trying to pound its way out of my chest, sweating all over. And I remember looking at the mirror one time while I was going through a panic attack, and my face just lost its color. It like somehow the blood just sucked out of my face, and I felt like it. And so during these times of panic, it was horrifying, and I would describe it as total fear, like just feeling fear through your body. And by the grace of God, He saved me from those panic attacks. He taught me to focus my mind on His truth during those times of panic where I felt like everything was out of control and I was maybe not going to even survive or something. God told me His promises are still true. His grace will sustain me at all times, even during panic attacks, and He will even use the panic attacks for my good. And so the Lord delivered me from those panic attacks. But there were other times after that trial where I felt like, this is kind of feeling like a panic attack's coming, but by His grace, I never experienced it after that. But even if they come, I don't fear them. That's the point, because God is in control. He's trustworthy, and He even uses the panic attacks for my good, so there's no reason to fear them. But I wanted to just talk a little bit more on panic attacks to kind of make it less scary, because it's not scary. Some of us, and I was there too, I was so scared of panic attacks that I would just try to avoid them at any cost. And what happens is that the panic attack is like a dark monster in the corner. And when you fear it a lot, it's like you're feeding it. And this panic attack, fear of it just gets bigger and bigger until you basically created your own panic attack. And it just keeps on going in a cycle. And so I want to shed some light on it and let you know that it's nothing to fear. And so these panic attacks, they will pass. They always pass. But during that time of panic, you feel like it's not going to pass, and you're just terrified. You don't know how long it's going to last. But just like how a baby goes into a state of like crazy crying, I don't know what to call it, but like a newborn, very young baby is so upset, they start crying, their mouth is open, but they can't breathe in any more air. And so some of them even turn blue. And it's kind of like that. It'll hurt for the kid at the time, but it always passes. And so our panic attacks, they always pass too. So knowing that during panic is very helpful. But not only that, I think the way that the Father looks at us is kind of like how we look at our babies going through that extreme crying crisis for them. We're seeing our baby being upset about something, and they start crying to the degree where they can't breathe anymore. But we know that they're okay, that we're taking care of them, that they will be okay. And it's the same thing I feel with the Father. When we go through these panic attacks and we feel like the world is going to end, the Father looks at us and knows that we're going to be okay because He's taking care of us. And so if we could know that during panic, it helps a lot. That God is taking care of us. He's working even this panic attack for our good. He's that sovereign and in control, and we can rest in that. And so when the panic attacks come, and I hope they never do, but if they come, just rest during that panic attack on God's promises, on His faithfulness, that He's actually lovingly handling you right now, not letting you experience any more pain than what He knows what you can handle and what He knows that will be worked for your good. He's in full control. And so that brings me to the next point, and I've already mentioned it, that God uses it for your good. And so a lot of times, He uses it to bring you closer to Him, to know Him more, to mold your character like Him through the pain of panic attacks. And also He trains you for warfare through them. Spiritual warfare is primarily in our minds. It's a battle for our minds. And when you experience panic attacks, you slowly learn the consequences of dwelling on fear and believing them. And then you say, oh, I better stop that. This is not okay that I'm dwelling on these fears and it's causing me to have panic attacks and it hurts. So you take it very seriously and you act quickly. And so James 4:7, submit yourselves therefore to God, resist the devil and he will flee from you, becomes a part of your fight. That's how you fight. That's how you win. And so you start submitting to God, you surrender to him, and you resist the devil by resisting his lies, the fears. You resist. And it's an act of brute force, as I like to say. It's an act of your will with just brute force. You kick it out and say, I'm turning away from these fears. I'm not going to think about it. Instead, I'm going to think about God's promises. That is submitting to God, trusting in his promises, and resisting the devil and his lies. And if you do this, it says the devil will flee. The word says that he will flee from you. And it always is true. And it could take days, weeks, months, years, but it works because God said it works. Submit yourselves, therefore, to God. Resist the devil, and he will flee from you. And so these panic attacks, yes, they mold you into the image of God. To be more like Jesus as you surrender and trust in him and endure well. But also, you're learning to fight. You're learning to submit to God and resist the devil and making the devil flee from you. A very valuable lesson through this painful panic attacks. And so don't be discouraged by them. Don't fear them, but endure them well, trusting in the Father to strengthen you and to work it for your good. God bless you.